The Abyss. So I hadn't seen this movie in years. Despite owning it, I got in a 3-pack with the first 2 Alien movies, a DVD apparently so cheap that it got corrupted when I was decrypting it. Replaying scenes, taking them out of order, I fucking hate when this happens, and I am not renting a new copy. I'll try my best to edit out the glitches, but I am doing this on a 4-year-old laptop on the floor in my bedroom, so it may not be perfect. Anyway, I'll be honest, besides the 2 documentaries we'll get to later, this was the one film I was least looking forward to watching. Not because I remember it being bad, I just remember it being okay, but it was so goddamn long. In 1994, a submarine encounters some mysterious object and is sunk near the Camer Trough. Due to a hurricane, the Navy decides to send a group of drillers to go check it out. The head of this team is Bud Brigman, played by Ed Harris, who is upset when his estranged wife Lindsay, played by Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, comes along with them since she wants to due to her designing the brig. After the cane is destroyed, they're stuck down there, and now with limited power, they must find a way to get back to the surface. This movie I can best describe as Close Encounters mixed with Aliens, with a little bit of Michael Crichton's Sphere, and when it tries to be like Close Encounters, I actually really like it. There's some good build-up in this. The opening with the sinking of the submarine is fantastic. Of course, even without knowing, you can pretty much guess that this is Aliens, but the way it's directed, edited, it just makes me wonder what is happening outside. The scene where the crew investigates the sub is also great. It's atmospheric and kind of creepy. It feels like a horror film, as if something is just gonna pop out. All this is helped by the amazing production design and visual effects. Cameron did a good job with the underwater shots in Piranha 2, but here he perfects it. 40% of shooting took place underwater, so not only did the actors have to train in diving, but lighting and shooting underwater sounds fucking exhausting. They had to literally build new equipment just to communicate with the actors. And then of course there's that water snake thing, a very early use of CGI, and it still looks really cool. Sure, this wouldn't take much work today, but for 1999, this was revolutionary.
It's trying to communicate. It's Bud. It's wonderful.
It's me.
There's great scenes in this, from the brig being dragged by the crane to the scene where they encounter that thing is probably my favorite part of the film. I also just have a deep fear of the ocean, so it does tap into that a lot of the time. It covers all the fears: drowning, weird creatures, darkness, the pressure. It does everything it can to take advantage of its location, which is more than I can say for that movie version of Sphere. That book only came out a couple of years before this. I'm not saying Cameron ripped it off, but if Crichton had decided to sue, he might have a case. So yeah, when it tries to be Close Encounters, I really like it. But when it tries to be Aliens, that's when I start feeling a bit annoyed. These characters are the Marines from Aliens light. They're jokey, they smack talk each other, they make quips, but whereas I remember characters like Hudson and Vadquez very well, I do not remember a single one of these people. Some of them die and I couldn't even tell which ones they were. They feel like every 80s and 90s stereotype put into one movie, which would be one thing if it were just a fun action flick, but it's a story that feels like Close Encounters, so they feel out of place. The conspiracy guy hippie, played by Todd Graff, got on my nerves, and then of course there's the 2 leads, Bud and Lindsay, the estranged couple that argue a lot that are obviously going to get together by the end of the film. Now normally I don't mind that cliche. I was fine with it in Twister, I was fine with it in 2012, but for some reason here it just made me go ugh. And so at the end, when we get our big emotional scene between the two, I just didn't feel much. I didn't want any of them to die, but I didn't care about their connections. So I wanted to see them get out, meaning when we get an action scene or a suspense scene where they might get killed, I got invested. But anytime those aren't happening, I was bored. And did I mention this movie is long? It has like 3 or 4 endings. Also interesting note, it takes place in 1994, but apparently the Cold War is still going on. I mean, that's not really anything wrong with the movie itself, it's just funny this movie came out and then 3 months later the Berlin Wall fell. So yeah, when it goes for suspense and atmosphere, it's great. When it goes for comedy and character, it's not. It's well made, the acting is fine, it's just got some really great scenes, but there are also way too many boring parts. I give it a 6.5 out of 10. It is better than I remember, but I probably won't watch it again for a while. However, tomorrow we'll get to The One, the sequel that pretty much everyone agrees is better than the original and is considered one of the best action movies ever made. See you then.